Welcome back. I'm Mike Brown, and this is episode 10 of Worlds Collide. This is a quick little side quest adventure with our buddy Alladan, so we can fill in the gaps and find out what happened in between when he entered that great library that led to him being arrested. This is just a fun little adventure. We had some scheduling issues, so we are just rolling with the punches, and next episode will be another full episode, I promise. And yeah, thank you so much for listening, and make sure you follow us, subscribe to the podcast, all that good stuff. Please enjoy and have a great day. Entering into the foyer of the Great Library, Alladan finds himself in front of a long counter that curves away from him in both directions. As outside, it is accented with a brilliant blue, but unlike outside, it's wood that is a deep, rich, marbled brown. He follows the gold filigree with his eyes to the end of the counter and up a pillar that bears one side of a kind of hood over the counter space.
"Can I help you?"
A voice startles Alladan from his enthrallment. Alladan regains his composure and looks to see a halfling with caramel skin and sandy hair standing behind the counter, which hides all but his striking green eyes and the top of his head.
"Yes, sorry, I am new to this city, and I am looking for information. Where would I find books about the gods and the creation of the world?"
"Ah, a historian. I see. Well, those books can be found on the 29th floor. Do you need a page to guide you? They're only 2 silver for the day."
"No, if there is one thing I know my way around, it's a library." So how do I get to floor 29?
"Well, you could either take the stairs or the lift. The lift is faster, but the stairs build character and afford you a breathtaking view of the city."
"Where's the lift?"
"It's right here,"
The halfling says, a little bit of disappointment in his voice and a little bit of sweat beginning to bead on his brow.
"You could hop in, and I'll, hoist you up until you reach the floor you're looking for."
"Do you not have help with that?"
"Well, it's just me today. It's feast day, and the Loxodon, usually in charge of the pulley, is preparing a particularly important meal for his family who is in town visiting, so it's just little old me."
"I'll take the stairs. It is no problem."
Alladan heads to the right, where he finds the beginning of a spiral staircase that wraps around the tower. He notices the stairs lead up, but there's also a gate blocking the way to the stairs that lead down.
"Excuse me, what is downstairs?"
In a hushed tone, the halfling responds,
"That's where we have the books that are not fit for public consumption. You need special permission to go there."
Then, at full volume,
"But since your needs are academic, you'll find everything you need on the 29th floor."
"Thank you,"
Alladan says, and begins his ascent. Crossing the door to the 13th floor, a window catches Alladan's eye. Curious, he steps over to get a view of the city. He gasps as he gazes upon a triumph of architecture and organization. Home, he had only seen 1 or 2 kingdoms with this level of craftsmanship and intricacy, and they were of purely elven make. The buildings line the perfectly distributed streets, the roofs tier in natural harmony, the sparse, protruding towers are commanding and beautiful. He can also make out distinct architectural and color differences between the districts. On the edges of his view, he notes muted purples, which give way to green and then blue. From the blue area, he sees airships of various designs rising into the sky and departing, while others seem to be landing at their destinations. After shocking himself out of a trance-like state and back into his present mind, he realizes he's been staring out the window for far too long, and the sun is beginning to set. Catching a passerby, he asks,
"Does this library close at night?"
"Yes, it does, but you've got about 2 hours left."
"Oh my,"
Alladan says as he bounds up the stairs. Finally reaching the 29th floor, Alladan is panting and sweating. He takes a moment to catch his breath and opens the door. It's dim and dry. There don't seem to be any other patrons, so he moves to the side and finds a directory. He finds a large number of books on the creation of the world and a large number on the synod. Pulling a high-backed chair away from a reading table, he sits with his collection and starts to flip through. He learns that the land was primarily created by 3 goddesses, Iyun, the Raven Queen, and Melora. They each designed and manifested one of the 3 subcontinents that make up Zepha. The city of Zeph was a combined effort by the other 9 Synod members, meant to govern the world and serve as its capital. He also learns about Mount Karatek and Azandius, who resides there, an ancient demi-deity dragon who many believe predates the creation of the world. Most of the references to Mount Karatek are brief, and note that everyone who has ever scaled it comes back completely mad and doesn't make it very long thereafter. He learns about Man's Folly, a second city that the humans tried to construct as a sister to the city of Zeph. Near its completion, the giant island was sieged by the Synod and destroyed, as a reminder to men not to fancy themselves as gods and creators. Notably missing, though, is any mention of the sheath.
Why would they be missing from these tomes? Maybe I've been fooled.
A bell rings and Alladan instinctually knows he's spent the remainder of his time. He walks out and descends the stairs. Back in the lobby, the halfling is waiting for him by the door.
Okay, now, hurry up. I have a feast to get to.
Yes, I am sorry for keeping you waiting. I just have 2 questions. First, what is your name?
I'll give you one question, and my name is Rondo. Good night.
And he shuts the door despite Alladan's objections. Slightly disappointed in himself, Alladan sulks to a nearby inn where he finds a comfortable room for the night. At daybreak, he spends maybe a little too much time eating a delicious breakfast of eggs and bacon, then heads back out to the library. In the same foyer as before, he sees the counter being worked by 2 different people. One, a tall, husky, gray creature with huge floppy ears and an articulated nose that is thick and muscular. The other, a fair and dainty woman who reminds him very much of the elves back home. He approaches her.
Hello, I am looking for Rondo. Is he here?
Rondo works in the afternoons. What can I do for you?
I see. I am looking for books containing information on the sheath. Have you heard of them?
Silence falls around the entire room as Alladan notes mouths gaping and eyes wide in disbelief. A little uncomfortable, the woman says,
I'm sorry, sir, but that is in the forbidden section, and unless you have a guide, you will not be granted access.
Remembering yesterday, Alladan perks up.
That's no problem at all. I can hire a page to bring me as a guide. I just didn't have one last night because...
Not a page,
the other attendant interjects.
A guide sent with you by the Parliament. They are the only ones who can grant access to the lower levels.
Confused, Alladan realizes there's been a misunderstanding.
Oh, you see, I've been sent by the gods. Surely they hold more sway than this Parliament you speak of.
Sent by the gods? Which ones?
All of them. Cord and, I think, Melora, the whole synod.
And do you have anyone who can vouch for this claim?
Yes, I was traveling with a gentleman named Lairn. He seems well connected. Have you heard of him?
At once, the room erupts into laughter.
Oh, you know Lairn. Sure you do. Where is he? Lairn? Mr. Sorothian? I don't see him.
Why don't you just see yourself out, so we don't need to call in the muscle?
Are you not the muscle?
The counter worker, who Alladan now realizes must be the Loxodon that Rondo mentioned, flips up a section of the counter and begins to head his way.
Okay, yes, I'll be going now. Sorry about that.
And he exits through the front door. His mind racing, Alladan starts to think about everything he's learned so far. The synod, the sheath, the creation of the world.
They're hiding the sheath from the people. Why?
As he speaks those words aloud, he notices a small window set below the others. It faces a mostly quiet alley and seems to be very dark inside. He sneaks over to it. Shielding the sun from his eyes, he can make out a very dark staircase that seems to be leading down.
This must be the staircase to the forbidden section. I need to know what they are hiding.
Grabbing a table at the pub across the street, he waits and studies the stairs for a long while, taking note of patrols. During this time, he has the chance to drain a few ales and smoke a few pipes. Once the timing is right, he settles his tab and stealthily hops in. Realizing he needs to seem like he belongs, he stands up very straight, conceals his walking stick, and starts his descent with an air of confidence. There are no doors to additional rooms on this staircase. It only leads down to a dusty, solid stone floor. There are a few torches burning, but they provide enough light to see the shelves upon shelves of broken, musty books and aged scrolls that fill the wide room with a low ceiling. He starts to rifle through some of the texts. Eventually, he happens onto a manifest that explains that the Forbidden Book's shelves correspond to the floor they had been removed from. He makes his way to shelf 29. There are a few books that he grabs and puts on a nearby table. He scans the material to see what he can glean.
The Sheath are constantly working to undermine the Synod and undo their acts of creation. The Sheath believe they are truth-bringers and that the Synod is concealing sinister deeds from the public. The Sheath have claimed the Synod may even be in denial about the havoc they are wreaking.
Just then, Alladan hears, "Hey!" He looks up to see two brownish-green-faced creatures clad in dusty white robes carrying a torch. He recognizes their ilk immediately.
Of all of the oddities from Umbar to Hun, I never thought I'd see one of your kind around a book. Give the Dark Lord this message from me.
And he casts Gust. The torch immediately goes out and pages begin to fly everywhere. Alladan starts to run but immediately collides with a bookshelf he had forgotten was there. Running over, a third orc with a torch illuminates the area. Alladan goes to cast another spell, but is tackled to the ground by the guards. With a hard blow to the back of his head, he loses consciousness. As he regains consciousness, Alladan finds himself prone against a smooth, cold floor. He opens his eyes to find a disorienting room made of cloudy crystal. Reflections lie in every direction, and it's nearly impossible to discern what is a wall and what isn't. In a quick moment of panic, he starts to check his pockets. It doesn't seem like they removed anything from his person. He still has his staff, pipeweed, gold, and a pocket of magical items and components he had all but forgotten about. He looks to his left and his right, quickly realizing he's in a cell. On his left is a creature with a body of a horse, but the torso of an elf rises from above its front hooves. The prisoner on the right is small and dragon-like. Something is off about that one. Something seems missing. A darkness emanates from it, but isn't visible. Feeling off-put, he addresses the other.
Hello, Horse Elf. Where are we?
Horse Elf. That's a new one. I'm a centaur. Were you born yesterday? We're in the Prism Prison, kept here unlawfully by the city of Zeph and the Civil League.
The Civil League? Prism Prison?
Wow. They must have hit you pretty hard. Maybe you should just rest.
Ah, you're awake. I've been waiting to see you.
The centaur starts grunting, and a grimace falls upon his face. Alladan turns to see a tall, pale human in massive armor striding surprisingly quietly their way.
Could you not see me when I was asleep?
Hold your tongue when you are being spoken to by a superior. My name is Grand Commander Jonathan Stonestreet, highest ranking officer and leader of the Civil League. I've come to make sure you're locked up permanently for your crimes.
But I was just doing research.
Research forbidden by the Synod in civilized advancement. I don't know who you are working for, but whatever information you found will never make its way into their hands. And the audacity to claim you're sent by the Synod themselves while directly defying their edicts. Ha! Arrogance at its finest. Maybe you're an associate of Six Limbs over there.
Stonestreet gestures to the centaur.
I have never met him before. I am brand new to this world. I was brought here by the Synod.
Enough! You will not defile the name of the Arbiter or any of the others with your lies. Tomorrow is your trial, and I am the lead prosecutor. I'll do everything in my power to get you put away permanently. Society has no place for dissidents, heretics, and liars.
With that, he walks away, but stops briefly in front of the dragon creature. With a heavy sigh, he shakes his head and begins to descend a staircase that is imperceptible, at least to Alladan. Wow, I've been dreading my own trial, but at least I haven't made an enemy of the Grand Commander himself. What did you do?
I was only researching, reading books in the basement of the library about the Sheath.
The centaur starts to cackle. Oh, is that all? You must have some stones in that robe after all. At that moment, Alladan remembers that he does, in fact, have a stone in his robes. He pulls out the sending stone given to him by Lairn.
I must contact my companions, he says out loud as he brings the stone to his mouth.